Good morning. Welcome. I hope I can attract your attention despite the location. It's difficult today not to just look outside. You have a point of view which is unprecedented. Thank you so much for being with us. It's so many of you. And if you're here, you know it's the 52nd edition of Mido. And we will get into the world of eyewear made in Italy, which is strictly connected to this sector. And we'll speak about it without hiding anything, speaking about challenges, but also objectives. And we shall dwell upon it as well. But our guests asked me to give a picture about what is happening around us, the geopolitical, economic, financial scenario. And they've asked me to speak about such unpleasant topics. But I understood it was not just like this. And to stick to the eyewear metaphor, first look around outside of our national context. Things are depressing, at least on paper. The war in Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, and the Red Sea that is in flames, and political elections in half of the world. 2 billion people vote this year. Half of the adult population in the world votes. The world is changing, and probably the world like we knew it will not be with us. All the things I mentioned, elections and the situation in the Red Sea, obviously in this interconnected world, there are consequences on big, small things, and also on Italian companies. Because when conditions change, the way of acting inside those conditions changes. And I speak about it here at Mido. In 2020, Mido was, how can I say, the first trade fair to get to a compromise with the pandemic. Mido was not organized, and we were blocked at home. It seemed to be the end of the world. And instead, today, Mido celebrates high numbers, pre-pandemic numbers. And over the past few years, Mido has learned something and has practiced something. Apart from what we have said, companies, not just Italian companies, but we speak about made in Italy, Italian companies, and companies should have come to terms with the environmental transitions, digital revolution, and the defense of their own value chains, challenges that should have been tackled, and in this scenario things change. And with a slightly abused sentence, there are problems, yes, but at the same time you have big opportunities. And if we consider some of the figures to explain your sector, the Mido sector, and not just Mido, but made in Italy, we have a confirmation such as a report on expert 2023 says that the value of experts 660 billion euros. Yes, it's a lot, and it's even more because it's growing. It grows by 7%. And in the pages of this report, we have the confirmation of what we said before. Best performing companies are those companies that have already taken the challenge of the digital, of the green revolution. Those companies that have already transformed an obstacle for some into a flywheel, an opportunity. And this brings me back to my previous world, anthropological studies. I studied cultural anthropology, and they taught me about cultures in various historical periods. And there's no mythology, and communities base their identity on mythology. And in mythology, also of most primitive societies, nothing is always successful. There's always a figure that teases everybody, changes the game. It's the trickster, and it's the worst that can happen, the worst possible condition, but it's indispensable. And in contrast with the trickster, you have culture, and what culture can produce. And you have an identity as a consequence. And it's a way whereby communities are formed. Why do I say it? Because made in Italy, in this historical, geopolitical, economic, financial moment, you know it, it's an important challenge, because on the one hand, yes, we should never renounce our DNA made up of relationship with the territory, values, but at the same time, you have macro together with micro, and your own place in the world, and everything is changing around. It seems to be complex, but if you get into the details of so many companies and sectors, just like eyewear, it's already happening. And an international trade fair. And before I was speaking with my Mido reference points, and I discovered that Mido is the most international trade fair here in Milan, and it's a very good opportunity to understand how Made in Italy can come to terms with international challenges and tackle international challenges. And this is the right venue to understand it, to meet all of those animating the trade fair and representing the protagonists of what you see at the trade fair. Now, I will stop here, and I welcome at this point Lorraine Berton, President of ANFAO. Welcome, President, please. Gianni Vitaloni, President of Mido, our host. Welcome. ANFAO is the National Association of Optical Goods Manufacturers. I'd like to start with you. You are the first woman president of ANFAO. You have the floor. No question, self-celebration. So, good morning, everybody. Yes, I'm the first woman president of ANFAO, and I believe it's important not to be the first, but to be the first amongst many. And I tell you that my main concern, not to be the last one, no, not the last one, but the world around me, the male world, has difficulties to accept the role of women, and the moment they do not understand that we want to stay here for the next many years. Yes, it's also difficult. The world of eyewear is made up of women. And so I believe that, Giovanni, we should thank this female world that creates eyewear. 60-65% of employment in the eyewear world is made up of women. Unfortunately, when we get to the top, it's 10%, the presence of women. So we have a long way to go still. I believe that ANFAO, Mido, and our most important trade fair is ready to accept this challenge, to have a woman president that for sure will give the perspective of a woman in the sector. And Giovanni Vitaloni, already president of ANFAO, former president of ANFAO, and now president of Mido. I'm extremely glad that Lorraine, has become the president of an association that I managed for 6.5 years in stormy weather, but now everything is healthy, and I believe that Lorraine can take the team to an additional level. I believe that Lorraine is the right person in the right moment for the association because, first of all, she has got big competencies and higher competencies than mine, and she's active in Bologna and Rome. She's a product expert because she manufactures eyewear, and I wear eyeglasses to read. She's a product expert, but also a territory expert. Our sector, our association has a throbbing heart in Belluno, where we produce made in Italy, real made in Italy, fully transparent made in Italy. And I believe that we have a captain, a very important female captain, and I'm very happy that she will drive the boat for the next few years. Don't be shy. If you want to make an applause, please do it. Don't be shy. I would get into the detail of the reason why we're here. Let's start and understand what the general scenario is of the market, of your market. Our market is an important market, and in the past 20 years, it went through big difficulties, and I'd like to congratulate with Giovanni because the 2 years of COVID and Mido, Giovanni worked full steam because when we organize a trade fair, even if you have difficulties, it's wonderful. But when you have to solve the problems of 2 trade fairs that couldn't be organized, the level of responsibility is higher. We have a sector, 816 companies and 17,000 employees, and the value of production 5 point something billions. And we are the first producers in Europe of sunglasses and frames, the first exporter in Europe of sunglasses and frames, and second exporter in the world of sunglasses and frames, the first producer, first exporter in the world of eyeglasses and frames in the top range of the product, high end of the product, and I stress it, high end, because we should understand that what comes from Italy and goes abroad is real, made in Italy. It's a product made with love, with sustainability at the moment, because believe me, now we speak about sustainability, but our companies are already ready to face the challenge. They're working a lot for the sustainability of product. It's not enough that the product is beautiful and well done. It should be sustainable. It's important for the future of our planet. It's not a word that we use by chance. Sustainability should become our way of living, and our generation should acquire it. And as we live till 90, 95 years of age, we still have 30 years, and we can pollute the planet. And the youth instead are already aware of sustainability.
And I want to highlight that the eyewear district is in the province of Belluno. It is so important, despite the fact that the territory has mountains and it's harder to work there. So congrats to our companies. I mean, the manufacturers in general, in the mountains, it is harder, more expensive. Just think of the cost of energy and heating. So congrats to our companies for their resilience, including during the COVID pandemic. We never closed down. I remember that I went to the factories with the roads closed off, but our workers were there. They had such a sense of responsibility that we really have to applaud them, because Mido and the enterprises are not the entrepreneurs. It's a huge family, and it has proven that it really respects the market, consumers, as well as its own enterprises, because more often than not, people think that our enterprises are in Italy. I mean, the entrepreneurs are believed to be the predators, but it's not like that. I mean, there are some, it did happen, but most of the SMEs and big business and the manufacturers are the backbone of this country. Remember that. And we belong to that backbone. President Vitaloni, a comment on these numbers, because they are part and parcel of the current situation. Well, we have to highlight, like Lorraine said, that our district managed to react to the hardships of the last few years. They come from afar, from 2001 probably, but then there were many waves of crisis that caused difficulties, and the companies and enterprises had to reinvent and reposition themselves. I believe that today we have to see the glass half full. We do have an industrial texture that is highly competitive, and as compared to the period before the pandemic, this is something that is in high demand in international markets. I'm talking about made in Italy. It means traceability and sustainability and transparency. And it also means that we do things ethically. So this is a huge value, and I believe that the association and the system managed to defend our district. And that said, the Mido is the legacy of the association and of the district. So it should be viewed like this, because it is the stage on which all of the companies present their fantastic products. So it's important for us to explain to the world and to the market how, where, and with what criteria the products are made. This is added value that few others in the world can contribute. What's in store for the market in this year? I mean, what are the forecasts in terms of market, as well as difficulties that might crop up? How comes that today the production and the world of eyewear is different? Once we made glasses and sold them, we received hundreds of requests, and we traveled the world with our suitcase. But unfortunately, right now we have so many adverse events, like the war in Ukraine, the Suez Canal, Israel and Gaza, and whatnot. Quite clearly, there are going to be consequences also on the corporate world, because uncertainty is what scares people. I mean, the man in the street, and the cost of money. Well, the cost of money has an impact on the quality of made in Italy, and a lot. We don't have to be scared of China and the other manufacturing countries. We should be able to give to our companies, and this is what we ask the government, to allow us to produce more and better. What does it mean? It means investments. So if we have a company that invests, it does so to do better. So the government, through the National Recovery Plan, should give money to companies, because remember that this country, and this applies to everything, not just my world of political lobbying, but this country is made of companies, and we have to say that Italian companies are healthy. There's a debate within Confindustria about the SMEs and big business, but remember that the backbone of this country is made of the SMEs, because they are the ones that we can control more. I'm not scared of investments. Everybody knows that I always say that, I mean, there are some that say Kering is not Italian. They are Italians. They manufacture here. We don't have to be scared of investments. Quite to the contrary, we have to believe in them. I'm waging a battle on the Olympic Games, but my battle that, well, is about Bob in Cortina. It's not for the 10 days of the race, but it's because our territory from Belluno to Cortina has all of the most important brands and companies in the world. So we have to show to the investors that this territory is capable, including politically. That's fundamental. With respect to the value of Cortina 2026 for the sector, we'll say something. But before that, something about exports. I was mentioning the past data. I mean, recent data, such a data. I mean, in 2022, exports were the main item. What's in store for 2024? We know that 2024 is going to be uncertain and difficult. Giovanni, I believe that we've always exceeded our, plans, so there won't be a collapse of the eyewear industry. There are going to be problems, but every time that the eyewear industry tackled the problems of exports, it did improve. It did, because in those moments we managed to do things in our factories, and I'm seeing my VPs here, and they know very well that when we are overburdened with the workload, at times we neglect equally important things. So, Giovanni, it's difficult to confirm the numbers for 2024. Hopefully, we will confirm 2023. Frankly speaking, I hope so. And I do have this impression. That said, if Putin goes mad, and in America, we don't know what's going to happen. And Israel goes on with an aggressive policy and certainly doesn't aim for peace of mind. I mean, there are many problems, and unfortunately, they do have an impact on our life, and that's normal because today our wardrobes are full of everything. No one of us needs to buy anything. I mean, in the Western world. So at a time of difficulty, what do households do? They cut expenses. And then allow me to say that we have to work on the fiscal wedge because our workers are well paid by us, believe me. But unfortunately, most of their salary goes elsewhere. And when one of our employees has 6 or 8 months of waiting time for a medical examination, that's intolerable for them as well as for the entrepreneurs because they have to pay the full salary. Well, this applause was spontaneous. Before giving the floor to President Vitaloni, I want to ask what are the areas and the countries in which most was invested? Well, we've always worked very well with America, in particular the USA. We do so likewise in Europe. We do have room for growing, but we have to invest in these spaces. Probably we have to move a bit more. Well, we know that we export 90% of the value of production, so we are big exporters. Probably our industry is the single biggest exporter. Based upon this slide, as you can see, the most important countries are the most mature ones, America and Europe and the French market, where we have more glasses per unit. And they are as beautiful as we are. Yes, it's all about style and taste. And in the French market, we've always traditionally had lots of sales, and then France is followed by the USA. However, the balance of accounts in 2023 paid quite a lot in terms of exports. We confirmed that we export a lot more than we import. So hopefully for 2024, we will progress further in the traditional markets. And then there are some emerging markets that have to be taken care of. Asia has pumped fresh money again in the market. And I think that this is important and can improve in 2024. But like Lorena said, we have to be cautious and try and confirm the 2023 numbers in 2024. Difficulties are important for companies to reposition themselves, reconsider their procedures and their way of going to the market. And I believe that we Italians have an advantage because our style and creativity has never gone away. And the district companies and the Italian companies are creative and stylish, and they are, one of a kind. In Italy, we have periods of excellent press articles or very bad press articles. It's all about culture, The Italian culture, at the end of the day, is always at the top when we propose our made in Italy. Now our products, we are unique. But like President Vitalone said, when you think of made in Italy, you think of a good life and style. But now it's also synonymous of a lot more, and a supply chain of good practices and good procedures. And this takes me to ask Ms. Berton one thing. We mentioned the Belluno district, which is the heart, the beating heart, and the manufacturing heart of the sector. So, since you're also president of Confindustria Belluno Dolomiti, to give us a snapshot of that territory in terms of enterprises and entrepreneurs. So, my mother comes from the north part, my father from the south part. So if I stretch out, I cover the whole territory. When I talk about Comelco Superiore, I talk about my mother. And when I talk about Querico, I talk about my father. Well, in our territory, we don't just have the eyewear district. We also have the refrigeration chain district and lots of top-notch manufacturing like metal and mechanical parts. We make parts for the submersibles. The vice president of the Young in Confindustria works in that supply chain. What we don't do well, and that's why NPOW is important, is communicate about these territories. I must say that I worked for 40 years in the eyewear industry, and I've seen all of the main buyers from the US come there, and they stay. Once they come, they stay, and they're so impressed because you also see our beautiful mountains, and there is a smell, the smell of our trees, and the roads are difficult. You understand that we fought to be what we are. And I must say that I always go back to our workers, because also during the pandemic, we've been a family. You can do this, because we need lots of labor. At times they attack us and say that we're not technological. Not true. We have everything also in our enterprises, but this is a team that works well, because we also have the workers who work with us in order to, keep this high quality, and that's fundamental. It's a beautiful territory. I have fought for the Olympic Games, everybody knows. And after this press conference, I will have to go away because I'm so busy.
But I fought not for those 10 days in Cortina, but because in this territory today we need roads, infrastructures, because I have two past presidents here, Michele Gasperini, general manager. One day he called me and he said, Lorraine, is it possible that the bus stops in the middle of the road, the bus transporting my workers? Those are the themes we should tackle. And it's complex work for the territory, because, we are not interesting for the world of politicians and focusing today the attention on big companies, Kering, Luxottica, Marchon, Luxottica, and you have companies we have to give replies to. And I was lucky. I was president of Confindustria, the industrialist association, and also a manufacturer of eyewear. I know both worlds. And we could do something, and Michele as well. And now the bus parks not in the middle of the road, but in a better place for workers. Yes, the attention has been focused on the international dimension of the sector, but also of Mido. Can we consider the made in Italy percentage at Mido? First of all, Mido embodies made in Italy because we should pay tribute to the team that prepares this event. Because we over the past few years, we went beyond the concept of a trade fair, and such 3 days are a real event, and those operating in our industry, well, all of the world is represented. We have exhibitors from 30 countries, visitors from 130 countries, but especially we have the Italian fabric, we have the Italian supply chain participating in the event. And I believe that the important thing is that Mido is experienced by the association and Italian companies as big heritage, so like I told you before. And it's the perfect showcase to meet international buyers, to display our products. What distinguishes us from the competition around the world is that we're not a trade fair. We are a big event. It's 3 days of culture and 3 days of experience. So the nice thing of Mido that makes me extremely proud and that should make the whole team proud is that we have a wave of positive energy and optimism, and it has positive repercussions for future months. Mido takes place on the first weekend of February, beginning of the season, and it is strategically positioned. And so we know that in the last 3 months there was a slowdown, but now it's not so much a turning point, but to give momentum to the first 3 months. And you'll see when you visit the event, and I know the figures, pre-registrations and the expectations expressed by exhibitors. I believe it's an important moment to speak about Italy, to speak about our culture, and from this point of view, Mido is made in Italy. Mido is style. It's not a trade fair. It's a big event that lasts 3 days, but its spirit propagates for 365 days a year. Is it the DNA it has always had, or is it the result of an evolution? I believe it's a healthy, natural evolution of the event over the course of the years. We've gotten to the 52nd edition, and well, and then for sure, we had difficult moments some years ago, but it's the past. I wouldn't speak about the past. Today we're focused on the future, and we'll see it from figures. It's exciting to speak about Mido. Here you see the figures. And this year we have 1,200 exhibitors from more than 45 countries, and we go back to 2019 figures, to be clear. Big participation by all of the industrial international fabric, and visitors, pre-registration over the past few weeks, from 130 nations. We'll have 8 thematic areas for all the market segments, leading technologies, lenses, startup, special academy, 8 thematic areas, and something important, we have 7 pavilions again. The industry in practice is present. We have a growth of a pavilion compared to 2023, and 2023 was a very good year, and we are ready for an event that stands out in terms of figures. And here you see the layout, the official map of the event, some things to stress at a technical level. The Optic Club area where we have extremely important meetings in the 3 days of the event. And this year, Optic Club has been moved to the initial part of Pavilion 1. We'll have our theater with all the events with the 3-day program. And the press area. You are very competitive in the program. We'll see it in detail. Yes. And then Pavilion 1 with the fashion district with multinational companies. Pavilion 3 with the world of lenses. Pavilion 2-3 with eyewear, technical design, components, raw materials containing special research, red areas devoted to startup companies. In green, you see the Lab Academy with companies that develop projects selected in a democratic space with identical stands. And then Pavilion 6 with technology, machines, components, pavilions 5 and 6 with Asian companies and production, Asian production. And we have all of the industry present at Mido, and even more than in 2023. And yes, we are the only big event of the sector that exhibits all of the supply chain from screws and from the rods to shop furnishing. And yes, that's why those that participate at Mido, or better, all of the world should participate in Mido, because at Mido you find every element important for your activity, and devoting a couple of days and speaking about opticians, buyers, reflecting about the direction taken by the industry. You find answers here. In the middle, your world meets there. Your world meets there. It's difficult for me to understand why somebody shouldn't come to Mido. Okay. I'd like to go back to what you said. Apart from the evolution, of course, you consider the future. I'd like to ask you, what do we need? What do you need in your sector? You have proven to be ambitious. Yes, you need to keep what you have achieved, but meeting challenges, digital challenge, the green challenge, so many challenges that each individual company in your sector is facing. And you spoke about the fiscal wedge, but is there something else? Yes. This country. I will be repetitive. The country should believe in our companies. If this sector has grown so much, well, it has done so on its own with every possible effort, Mariana, and those that have been working in the sector for 40, 45 years, we know what the direction was also painful direction. 20, 25 years ago, China came to Italy just like tsunami. I had a client, I would like to tell you an anecdote, and 15,000 pieces a month, and it told me I will move part of the production to China, but and the styles that I have with you will die. And after 3 months, my activity ended. So a company that finds itself in that position gets scared, and somebody could change quickly. We made a specific choice. We became smaller. My company has 55 employees, but we just aimed at top quality. Those that found themselves in the same situation, what did they do? They did the opposite, and those companies have disappeared. So were extremely difficult moments, and today we have understood that made in Italy, and I always say don't add nicknames to made in Italy. We have sustainability certificates, but made in Italy already means everything in the mind of a foreign buyer. Made in Italy means made in Italy. It doesn't mean buying eyewear, but buying elegance, because if I buy that product, it's elegant because it's made in Italy. This is true for food and everything. And with AMFAO and in the next 4 years, I'd like to really, and working with companies perhaps one day we have a tour with journalists and come and visit us. You will be astonished, because when you get into our companies, you find elegance in the mountains. David knows it, and he came and met me, and he said, your factory, wow, seems an operating room. He made a comment that made me slide, but also our operators are elegant. It's beautiful companies, because if you produce something beautiful, you have to live in a beautiful environment. And so we have invested. I know companies, my company, for example, one of the two companies didn't pay out profits for 25 years. It just invested its love for your company, your country, and your workers. What do we need today? We need to invest. Industry 4.0. And in Europe, a friend told me, I buy 5 centers numerical control. And the government helps me, he told me. So how can we compete? It's not possible that I don't have the possibility to make the same investments in Italy, just like in the other countries of the European community. And we should start thinking in new terms. We should give, but we should also demand. And this country without enterprises is bound to implode. And when I hear data in the world of politics, well, they say we're performing extremely well. Oh my goodness, you say you are performing well. We are performing well. What did you do to perform well? We. And then if you allow me to say something else, and I do not want to forget about it. In my role as president of AMFAO, I'd like to extend my thanks to my team, Davide, Michele, Sabrina, and so on and so forth, and Massimo Barberis. And I empower them. They will be super busy. And Astrid, thanks a lot. And last month she was a bit scared my way, but all the collaborators will do a wonderful job.
So Mido is the best Milano Cortina and the Olympic Games. To me, Milano is Mido, the Olympics. Cortina is eyewear district and the Olympics. This is a battle for all of us. One last thing on Milano Cortina 2026, because we said before that you are responsible for Confindustria, Belluno, Dolomiti, but you're also a sponsor. So, like you said before, this is an opportunity in which the district can, be showcased. It will, an amazing one, as well as benefits, sure. We are waiting one more day because I prefer to be cautious, but if we can really have the Olympics, that we've been awarded. I mean, I'm not talking about something new. We've already been awarded them. It's a scandal that the province of Belluno has had to fight to retain in Cortina the races. But it's a huge showcase. We're talking about millions and millions of viewers. And as soon as everything is confirmed, we will work so that there will be one window for made in Italy in our sector. We'll have to have the courage to invest, guys, including on TVs, because the Olympics will be viewed across the world. So we have to prepare commercial work with ANFAO and others, but we will also need the economic commitment of companies. We've always done that. Let's continue to do that. Until then, we need to visit Mido to get to know you and to get to know your DNA. Now, shall we launch the 52nd edition? Up to you. I'm really happy to launch the 52nd edition, but I'd like to first make some acknowledgements because all that we've prepared for this edition. Well, for sure, a lot has been done by the team led by Francesco Gili for the prep activities and creativity. And then we also have to thank fundamental partners like ICE. They've been our partners for many years for buyers incoming from, the primary ones from across the world. On Friday, there's going to be a preview organized together with ICE with some 70 Italian companies at the trade fair grounds. It's going to be so important. Another fundamental partner without which things would not happen is Fiera Milano. So, like I said, ours is a big event, and this is possible because Fiera Milano has the right approach to organize the event with us, with lots of collaboration. And that really is extremely important teamwork. So 52nd edition, lots of projects, all of the companies participating with products as well as culture. So the program of OptiClub is going to be extremely important. Here you can see up on screen some of the speeches, but I'd like to point out a new concept that we are going to launch at Mido, the midday talks. The midday talks are promoted and organized and conducted by Francesco Moraci, who is here with us, who will better explain to us how he will lead the midday talks. But it's important because I believe that all of us want new trajectories, new ideas, new viewpoints, and who better than Francesco can do so. So I'm so glad. We'll have a small preview of that. And then the midday talks are going to have a future after the exhibition. It is something that we would like to promote. And then there are going to be moments dedicated to the market, moments for opticians with the market insights and outlooks. So our program is very, very rich. But the important thing is that you need to have guests, and guests need to have fun. We prepared everything. It's all set. There's a beautiful hall, and the guests are outside waiting to come in. We have pre-registrations from across the world, a lot more than last year. Last year was an excellent year. It's a double-digit growth. Yes, it is. And I'm from Turin, so I'm always cautious. But I want to talk about actual figures. But we can certainly say that there's a lot of expectation for this edition. And we all have our companies and sales networks, and we have a feeling that the industry players want to participate, want to discuss and talk about the future with a lot of optimism, even though, like you said, there are so many difficulties in the world right now, but entrepreneurs are optimistic by nature and must promote products with positivity and creativity. I believe that this year it's going to be a FIDSE edition. So amongst the novelties, there is a novelty in the midday talks. Yes, we'll be talking about products, including the manager of Pan about extremely peculiar products, and we will also analyze the situation. And well, we want to spread culture. We want to raise the cultural level of all of our enterprises and distributors as well. I mean, we enterprises and exhibitors are there to communicate new projects, but we need to explain what's behind, and all that is done. Program, I mean, you've already heard something about that, but there are also prizes, and this year we have a new one. So, President Vitaloni, over to you. Yes, just one thing about the role of women in our industry. I think that this project is extremely important, and it started 1 year ago. It was presented at Mido 2023. And, you know, an important thing that we said immediately is that where we have women leaders, enterprises do better. This was a fact, and this should spur us to have more women in our enterprises. How many daughters do you have? 2, but also 2 sons, and hopefully this will work with countries as well. Yes, and this was just a short note, but, you know, we started discussing this in the past with the Board of Manpower. And then CSE is an extremely important sustainability certification program that should further push our best practices that can certify how, when, and how the products are made. So, having come thus far, on Sunday, we will have the prizes delivered at 3 p.m. at Otti Club. We will have the Best Store Award on innovation and design. We're going to have an award that has become a tradition for the greenest stand, with sustainability applied to the construction and disposal of the booth, and then 6 awards devoted to sustainability in 2 sections, for the European market and for the global market. Lastly, but equally important, we're going to launch a new initiative, the Sergio Cereda Design Award, that is being launched as an award, and we're going to have the first award and the first edition in 2025. Mido had sponsored this initiative that originates in the US with Harvey Ross, a pioneer of eyewear in the whole world, and he collaborated with one of the most important eyewear designers in the 70s, Sergio Cereda, and they worked for a long time together. They built the history, you know, of eyewear with an approach linked to design. So we are glad to sponsor this award that will be bestowed in 2025, and all of the criteria will be presented during the presentation on Sunday.
And 2025, what's Mido's date? February 8th to 10th, some days after our usual edition. Be ready. It will be difficult to have more exhibitors than the ones we have today. But just like everybody, we aim at innovation, we aim at new types of events, and for sure there will be surprises. And please do consider that the numbers this year are exceptional, and we want to further increase the number of participants and to attract more visitors. If they see today's pictures, Milan today is amazing, and from here, thank you so much. Can I add something, a tribute to all of our enterprises? Because apart from our events, we have events inside the stands, and it will be very interesting because this means that our enterprises strongly believe in it, and having sponsors and people of a certain standing inside our stands has a cost, and it means that our enterprises, the Mido event is a forerunner, but you have cross-fertilization inside, going hand in hand with the trade fair. Those that want to come to the trade fair and they start reading, you have FedEx, a name I read about, however, what you stress is of great importance, the events organized by the companies, the trade fair. But it's a weekend, it's a celebration for all of the city. All of the city speaks about eyewear, and companies help the city grow. And the economic effect of Mido on the city is of great importance for hotels, restaurants, parties, yes, big parties, and also ancillary events. Yes. Yes, we respect such events. It's confirmation that Mido attracts. It's not controversy. I say it's important to also have such events that can be organized because Mido is a big magnet and a tribute to us because we can be a big magnet from this perspective for our industry. And it's wonderful to see such exciting Milan these days. Yes, you can sense it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to our speakers. I invite you to reach your seats. And President Vitaloni said it. At Mido's, we have an event whose protagonist is sitting here from Concept Lab, a sociologist. Good morning, everybody. Let's speak about consumption because now we have spoken about those that produce, how they do it, and how they will do so in the future. Let's now speak about this side of the fence. What happens at this side of the fence? And the scenario is multifaceted and highly fragmented as well. And our job is to provide a bird's eye view vision, trying to identify the key values of a phase. And 2024 is a watershed compared to the 3 years we spoke about. We finally have gotten out of the pandemic, post-pandemic phase, and this means that constraints on the one hand and the offsetting mechanism on the other hand, everything has ended. What does it mean over the past 3 years? We searched for what we missed also during lockdown. And there was some sort of bouncing back 2023, and consumption data are positive. And it's a year that has brought us back to market shares in Italy and in the world similar to 2019, and however, that phase is over. 2024 can be, we hope, the year of a rebirth, a regeneration, and also redefinition of some behaviors taken by consumers, but it might also be a transition year, and that cannot be easily fueled with new visions and new projects. And from this perspective, people, and I like to go back the concept of female concept, and the world in over the past 3 years could understand, redefine, and react is the female world, and together with it, I'd like to add an unexpected note. There's a youth world that has reacted, is reacting, the Z generation, and even if under the radar, they're defining basic values. For example, sustainability is one of the big themes that this generation with great determination is pursuing and putting at the center in their vision of the world. So what do consumers do today? On the one hand, they try and improve in a pragmatic way their life, if daily life, you mean? Yes, in their daily life. And the values are simplicity, and there's nothing more complex than being simple. And then in such a volatile dimension, just like the one where we live, being simple also means having clear ideas. So redefinition of our daily consumption. That's why I'm speaking about the female world. The female world has got a long experience about domestic economy. And on the other hand, together with simplicity, there's a gratification desire, which is personal desire. And if we should summarize all of this into a slogan, it would be you, but better. It should be you, authenticity, and of the hype, exaggerations, and so-called masquerade in terms of image, and going back to yourself, but a bit better, and progressive improvement. This concept has also been stressed by other speakers. Anfao and Mido is highly practical. Let's get into it. And I'm thinking about Yannick Sinner that comes from the world of Dolomites. And this world is not perhaps so well known in Italy. And that world doesn't shout, isn't boastful. And I'm against this idea that the ego can be inflated. Aesop teaches us that we can explode, but there's continuous improvement day by day, year after year, with results improving without fireworks, perhaps, but with big solidity at the basis. So I believe that this is aspect, simplicity, pragmatism, and continuous improvement in our life, a real quality of life, which is something that today we consider with great interest. And unlike the past, it's daily work and big effort and not fashion-forward evolutions of the moment. And let's get into Mido at this point. Virtual visit. We walk in pavilions. What's the idea that we get of that world? We get an idea that goes back to one of the initiatives where we are directly involved. I and Future Concept Lab, the institute that has always accompanied Mido. We spoke about it before for 25 years. We've been collaborating together, and it's a perspective that is reproposed. That is to say, pavilions that are open to specificity of the sector, technical content, vertical dimension, but also culture, beauty, and also style. and they are the protagonists of these three meetings that we propose Saturday, Sunday, Monday. At midday, with three big protagonists of the project of beauty. And I'd like to give you an example of Diego Dalla Palma that will be hosted on Saturday. With Diego Dalla Palma, we'll speak about beauty for sure, but we'll also say how today we are intervening on the face. The face has gone back to be central. And face and its center, it's the point of view, and it means trying to find light in the eyes of the other, and the face can be emphasized by the eyewear, but also makeup, and just like Diego da Palma says, it's also imperfection, and he has a theatrical show around Italy. Imperfect Beauty is the title of the performance, giving strength and value to our imperfection, but also our uniqueness, and perhaps also a defect, non-perfection can become a strength. And in the world of eyewear, this is clear to operators. At the end, eyewear is microarchitecture that we use to emphasize the eyes, the face. We'll speak about it in the second meeting with two protagonists of Migliore Servetto, a couple in life, but also at work, and a double point of view, female-male point of view. And they've always dealt with lightness on the one hand, and certain use of materials and such architectures that are precise. And now they're working at Mind, the Italian technological cluster, just here, near here. They work on this concept, beauty that is inspired by Bauhaus modernism of design, and more is less and less is more. So let's try and, eliminate something but be relevant. Third element that comes from the virtual visit is passion. We spoke about it, passion, personal passion. We'll speak about it in the third talk with Ernst Knamm. Is a chocolatier chef, a visionary. He has big passion. Eyewear, orange very often, accentuating his personality, and he'll speak about his collection and this passion and how to put together passion for taste, the microarchitectures he proposes, and passion for eyewear. And at the end, I believe it's a journey. It's a journey through disciplines. It's a journey through passion and savoir-faire and what was said. And some key elements come out strongly. Lightness, sustainability, simplicity, and yes. Sustainability is an arrival point, just like one of my first few editors said. I'd like to go back to what you said, centrality of the face and rediscovery of the value of subtraction, going back to something essential, going back to what we said at the beginning, and even worst conditions leave good things. And oblige us to find good things. And, well, after years of communicating with face masks, and now the face has gone back to its central position.
Yes, by all means. So it's an advantage that we've gained after some difficulties. One last question for you on the tone of these events, because I believe I understand, based upon what we see, that it's to go more popular with these themes and approaches in this specific industry. Will these be pop events? At times, people don't like this adjective. Yes, you're absolutely right. Pop means something understandable, exciting, and engagement. I mean, I've been teaching at the university for a long time, so I meet young generations, and I know that pop is the key to be able to engage them. And when they are engaged, they do play, and they are better than us. But without engagement, without this key event, without this key element, nothing works. So the notion of pop is very important. And to wrap up, I want to say that, the youngsters are passionate about AI. We don't have to be scared of it because AI will become pop. What we need to be afraid of is natural stupidity, not artificial intelligence. We really need to understand that that's the way forward. We cannot take a step behind, but we have, to tackle it with the keys the world of Italian craftsmanship has taught us. And by the way, this industry comes from there. Thank you. Thank you, Francesco Morace. Midday Talks every day at midday. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at midday. Thank you. So, like Francesco Maracia said, we started from geopolitics and the different problems in the world, and we digged into the industry, went to the mountains, entered the enterprises and Mido. We've learned lots of things. At least I have during the preparation of today's event. But at the end of the day, the question is always the same. Will I like what I see at Mido? Will we have red or yellow or awkward lenses? Alessandra Albarello will tell us. Let's dig into it. What are we going to see? So I have found 3 trends. I have 10 minutes, not that much. Starting from what Francesco Marace said about AI, I'd like to lead you somewhere else. And I'd like to go back to craftsmanship and its intelligence, because the period we've gone through has led us to want physical touch with people, things and objects, as well as with eyewear. So we stay focused on the material that is processed in different manners, and the thickness, as you will see, varies. And I start my presentation with a sculpture. You know him, Constantin Brancusi. He is the father of modern sculpture, so much so that Logucci, who made the lamps, was his pupil, and he made sculptures of light to challenge him. And look at this. It's a sculpture. Eyewear become sculptures. Not only that, though, they also become micro-architectures, as Francesco Moraccia said. And the architectural movement that eyewear makers draw inspiration from is brutalism, because it emphasizes the material, the structure, and by the way, this is the Nakajin Capsule Tower in Tokyo, and this was destroyed because of recently they decided to destroy it. And also when the materials are natural, like in this is made of horn, it's very precious, and there's a search for the quality of materials that must be sustainable but also natural. And there's always, a quality and consistency of material, and this is connected with sustainability. because when a material has quality, it lasts long, and that's one more challenge. Indeed, the challenge is to create timeless and sustainable accessories, and the main challenge is this. And you can see also that the technology that supports the materials and supports and helps manufacturers can process the material so as to make it similar to natural materials and to nature. There is this sensorial physical contact with the eyewear. Look, there is also an extraordinary search for natural materials, and this is a chain made of corozzo, which is a material that comes from a sort of coconut. It's called plant-based ivory. And you can see how technology supports manufacturers to make amazing and unique material effects. And, randomness is part of this process. And the craftsmanship legacy meets technological innovation, and the effects are really extraordinary. And then it's a cross-cutting world. Look here on the right-hand side, you can see a finish of a design chair, and on the left, the finish of eyewear. So, people are looking for raw finishes and coarse, irregular details. Yes, simplicity and the perfection of imperfection. That's it. That's right. It's like going back to the origins, to our heritage, and to the craftsmanship gesture that we can see through the object. And then there are metal eyewear with marks. It's as if it were a piece of craftsmanship, like fingerprints. They become almost unique eyewear. Yes, because the irregularity are not the same all over the place. And then there is a continuous search for materials. There are eyewear. You will find eyewear made of fabric with an emphasis on organic and sustainable materials, because they are 100% organic. These materials, and also this fabric. And this Nani Marchigna carpet, it's a design company. And you can see all of the pieces of research put together. And, it's an aggregate, an osmosis of know-how. As a matter of fact, materials affirm their sensory presence without ever forgetting the function. And the thicknesses, the eyewear, even though they are thick, they're not heavy, because technology helps enliven materials which apparently may be heavy. So, there are many technologies to do so, and also the surface finishes are really extraordinary. As a matter of fact, we are headed towards authentic and simple as well as sophisticated objects. And this is an image from Salone del Mobile. The second trend is mimesis, and this trend, as a matter of fact, appears to be the opposite, but it's not, because it is one more attitude vis-à-vis the objects. We want to stand away. We've been using masks, so we need to breathe now. So here you can see light-heartedness and lightweight, but it's always sophisticated. We have rimless and glazed eyewear, as well as masks but there is, texture as well. This material treated differently can absorb light. This is yet one more different type of lightweight materials and organic forms, and so lightweight as well as these blurred colors. There's no shocking effect, yes, and the light is a very important element, for example. And here again, you have an example. This is a Barcelona museum. This is the shop of this Barcelona Museum MOCA. And the transition from digital to physical, the physical store was made after the online shop. Again, nature has an impact on the lights and shadows, and broad masks allowing us to have a broad vision with a double lens, and lightweight and freedom, fluid forms with no perimeters, and intertwining with the landscape thanks to 3D. Here's an example. And cross-cutting languages. This is made in 3D with 3D printing. And by the way, I'm seeing that I'm late. And 3D printing used to be used for prototyping only, but now it allows us to be amazingly creative. And then there are combinations like titanium and polyamide. And the last trend is that of colors. As a matter of fact, the soul of colors, because everything transforms through light. All of the materials, are fascinated by light. And all of the artists have always had the same effect. And on the right-hand side, you can see an image of the Olafur Eliasson in Florence. His exhibition shows this. He's always worked on the reproduction of natural light. And the light coming from weather effects. A London exhibition was called Weather. It was a series of exhibitions. And I think that this is the red thread, amongst all of the trends that you pointed out, i.e. relationship between materials and styles and disciplines. They communicate amongst themselves and with the surrounding environment through light. Yes, apologies. I'm seeing that I'm, running out of time, and this is yet one more approach to color. On the left, there is Paola Pirisi for Moroso. On the other hand, we see a pair of glasses with a more discrete approach to color, so much so the multi-layered structure requires to work on thickness, or, for example, the more precise finishes with full colors, blue, red, and the geometries of glasses are very precise and forms are very well defined. And then, cross-cuttingness. This shows to us why Fedez will be there. Yes, on the right, we can see a pair of glasses that always works with light. The material is crossed by light, and the double side lens, so broader view. And, also the subtle finish and the understatement that evokes new emotions, so new perceptions as well, and I'm almost done. And then bright colors. Olafur Eliasson on the right.
And they become neon lights, and hence a reference to pop art, to Andy Warhol's lights. It was also inspired by neon lights. I'm through. Thank you so much. And with this image, it's a drawing by Pablo Picasso. He made this drawing for his children to tell stories, and so I'd like to invite you to listen to the stories of Mido eyewear manufacturers, and it's fascinating stories, and they are different. I invite you. I hope we are streaming the event because after your contribution, you've made me very curious. So thank you so much, Alessandra Albarello. Thank you. At this point, if you have questions for some of our speakers, and we invite them back to come to the stage. Mo. Yes, you meet them personally. Okay, no questions. Okay. Okay. The traveling mic is not necessary, and buffet lunch after a glass of wine will be talkative. So thanks a lot to our hosts, our speakers, for having entertained us. Thanks a lot to Berton Vitaloni, and for final greetings. And I'd like to extend my thanks to all of the team and Lorraine, because today she's been wonderful, and I was happy to have shared this moment with a wonderful team, Francesco, because it's always enlightening. We need new ideas and new points of view, and you always do so. And Alessandra, all the input I've received on products, I feel them mine as well. Good for you. Yes. A small thank. I'd like to thank my interface for Mido for making my work easy. And I'd like to thank you for participating, and I invite you to make available all the positive energy we've just created to the event itself, 52nd edition, to the halls of Mido, and perhaps with a good dose of love that we have for this industry, which is makes us really proud. And I believe you will be wonderful ambassadors. We need it. Thank you so much. We'll meet you soon. Thank you so much. Buffet lunch organized by Vittorio. Thank you.